Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to thank you all for joining the Customer Partnership Group. This group call. This is for the new Automated Dispatch System, or ADS, demonstration. My name is Christina Osborne. I work in Stakeholder Affairs. I'm going to be facilitating the web conference. We did have a change. We apologize for that. There was a change to the web login and the dial-in access code. That was a couple hours ago, so I expect that we'll have more people joining the conference. So the presentation that AICM is going to talk through today is actually out on it's on the ISO website. If you go out to the Stay Informed tab, select Meetings and Events, and then Miscellaneous Stakeholder Meetings, you'll find a group for this, specific to this call out there. In that group, you'll find the presentation as well as the business specification requirements, or business requirement specifications. That's a mouthful. And then also, just to let you all know, we are recording the call today. So if anybody in your organization missed the call, or if you want to go back and revisit the discussion, that recording will be available to you on that same web page. Look for that probably by the end of next week. So we do have a number of ISO representatives on the phone as well. We have Prince Philip, AICM Furdos, we have Diana Adesani, John Williams, and there may be others joining as well, but those are the folks that are on the line with me today. The primary presenters will be AICM, Prince, and also John. So this is the agenda for the call. We're going to talk about the ADS technology and the functional changes. Then we're going to present the new look and feel. And then at the end, we'll go over some upcoming enhancements, events, and timelines. So with that, we're going to start off with Prince. Prince, go ahead. Oh, by the way, just quickly, before I turn it, sorry, one thing too. I wanted to let you guys know we are going to take questions. That's an important note to make, that, but we are going to go through the demonstration first. So later on, probably around slide 22, we'll open it up for questions. So if you do have any questions, jot them down, and we'll be sure to address them at the end. So sorry, Prince, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Christina. All right, well, I hope everybody's staying safe these days and healthy. We definitely are, and taking care of some social distancing and so on. Let's get into the first item to talk about today is on the technology changes. Well, as part of our new ADS that we are going to be rolling out into our production environment later this year, we have several technology upgrade information as well as a lot of functional changes that we are implementing into our new ADS when you will see that in production later this year. The scope of what we're going to be discussing today on this call is really to give everyone a sneak peek at what the new ADS would look like, give kind of like a heads up in terms of what the navigation would look like, what the user interface look and feel would play out to as well. So, Christina, if you can give me the next slide. From a technology change, you'll see that we are looking to transition from our existing TIC client that's Delphi-based to a web-based user interface. And we are looking to move move away from having IE9 as our officially supported version and to support Chrome and Edge with the Chromium base as our to-be supported. Hello? Hello?
Prince, are you there?
Okay, yeah, okay. I think I got zoned out for a little bit there. Yeah, so we're looking to move away from having IE as our supported browser and instead to have Chrome and then Edge with Chromium base as our supported browsers once the new ADS goes live into production. A lot of this information is already mentioned in our external BRS that was posted to our web page a while ago. And very soon we're looking to have this new demo version of our ADS deployed into our map stage environment. As we go towards the tail end of this presentation, we'll see what the schedule looks like. Hopefully many of you or members from your organizations have already been following the schedules on our biweekly RUG calls, but we will definitely cover that as well towards the tail end of this presentation. I also wanted to highlight that as part of this transition to the new ADS, you will see that the ability to provision resource access level control, what has been fondly referred to as RACL, will move into a self-provisioning mode where you will be able to provision RACL functionality for ADS resources using our Access and Identity Management, or AIM tool. So that's the high-level overview of the technology changes that you'll see with the new ADS. Christina, can you give me the next slide? I want to caveat what we're going to be presenting on this demo as well as what you will be seeing in our deployment into map stage at a later point of time, that while the external BRS has a large scope of items from a functional enhancement perspective, the initial deployment and also the scope of this demo that we're doing today will be limited to showing you functional changes that pertain only to participants viewing operator messages, as well as the fact that we would now, with the new ADS, eliminate duplicate exceptional dispatch entries that are currently being shown in our current ADS tool, the Delphi tool. So those are the only two functional changes that we will be demoing for you today. The rest of the functional changes, and I've just given a high-level bullet list of those functional changes towards the second half of that slide, all of that is out of scope for our discussion today. It is still in scope for the project. So when we go to production later on in the year, all of the functional changes that's listed on the second half of the slide will also be included. But I wanted to make sure everybody understood that for our discussion today and for the demo, we're going to restrict ourselves to showing just new functional changes that are related to participants being able to view operator messages and eliminating the presence of duplicate exceptional dispatch entries in the instructions tab. The rest of the demo will really revolve around showing you the navigation, showing you how the new ADS will be similar from a look and feel perspective to our old or our current one, as well as some of the fine nuances in terms of some of the features and how the navigation would be slightly different and give you the same capability to do things, but in a slightly different way. So with that, and I know many people are looking forward towards the real content, which is the demo, I'm going to hand it over to Firdaus. But before that, I'll pause for a second to see if anyone has questions about the general approach of this demo.
So thank you. If you do have a question, you can raise your hand by pressing #2. And please start by introducing yourself. So let me know, Shreyas, if anybody enters the queue.
Sure.
Just give it a few seconds. Okay, I think we can move forward.
Okay, thank you. So for ease and for being able to go through the demo as logically and quickly as possible, I'd like to keep as much of the questions related to the usage of the screens itself towards the tail end so that we can go through the demo in one flow. With that, I'm going to transfer to Firdaus to walk us through the application itself.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. So the first slide, what we are showing here is that as a user, when you log in into the new ADS tool, this is how it will look like, the landing page. This landing page on the lookup may little bit change based on whatever the new fall release and the enhancement piece will come together, but other than that, everything will be, this is how the landing page would look like. And in the landing page, in current tool also, you can see which environment you directly cannot see which environment you are in after you logged in. Like basically, if you are logged in into the map stage market simulation environment or production environment, you kind of need to use the help button to go and view it. But in the new client, you will be always able to see right away in the screen, the middle of the screen. So the bottom side where I showed it as number 2. If you see it there, you can see in which environment you are logged in. As well as you can also see what version of that client currently you are using, as well as who you are as logged in. Basically user information as well as which version you are using. So in the look and feel, it will be exactly almost same the way you would see the current client. So with that, Christina, can you please move into the next slide? Okay, so this is the slide where we come to the, when you see the pop-up for the new batches. Whenever a new batch comes, right, in current client also it will, user has the option to see the audio alarm as well as the visual alarm, and this is the one where the pop-up window will also come. But one thing here is a new feature we added that whenever a new batch comes, you will also see it will display the time component as well. So if you are not acknowledging or clicking on that OK button for one of the windows, then it will keep updating or refreshing automatically with the latest batch. And you can see the time will change on the left side, on the corner where what I'm showing as the blue arrow mark here. Other than that, the pop-up window will work and look like exactly the same the way it is working in the current Delphi client too. Christina, can you please move into the next slide? So this is actually one of the enhancements what Prince was covering as a functional changes, and our operator and some of our participants were asking, how can we go back and view what the operator message was sent recently? Current client, we don't have that option to go and download from the UI or view the messages what was sent recently as an operator message. But in our current new ideas too, all the participants will have this option. And to do that, user, or once you logged in there, you will also see a button on the very top right corner. What I'm showing here is the number 1. So if you click on that system message, system will bring that system message pop-up. And that pop-up window will give you the option to choose like or select what are the best or messages you would like to see. You have the option, those are optional, like you can, what I'm showing as a number 2, 3, and 4. You can pick like which best type you want to see or the operator message you want to see or what best status you would like to see. You can select all of it. If you don't do, then by default it will be set as an all. Then if you click apply, system will bring up all those messages based on the criteria you selected. Once messages there, you can see all those messages. Or on the very right column, there will be for applicable messages. You will also see the view button. This is basically for all of the operator messages. And if you would like to see the content of this message, if you click on the view button, then system will pop up that new window where it will also display the message content along with the time component as well. So this is one of the important features we added into the new areas client. Christina, can you please move on to the next one? Okay, so in this slide, we are just kind of trying to cover the filtering criteria. So in current areas client, as you know, users have the option to use the field chooser, which is, you can use it for multiple purposes. One of the big purpose of the field chooser is field chooser as well as the filtering criteria. There are multiple options. So you can use the filtering criteria from the current Delphi client to do different kind of filtering. Here in the new ADS client, you will be able to also do the filtering condition. Filtering, you can use a different kind of filter. One of the important filtering option will be the advanced filter. What I'm showing you as indicating with an arrow. If you click on that advanced filter, then it will pop up that new another window, advanced filter window basically. Here you can do all, you can put all your custom filter. Basically you can use every single column and for any values, or you can even create and duplicate those one by yourself, and you can make your custom filter there. Then once you update, then system will automatically use this filter. So for filtering capability, instead of using the field chooser, you will be using this advanced filter options. As I mentioned, other than the advanced filter, you can also use the inline filter as well to view particular data set. Christina, can you please move in the next slide? So there is another another option here is to in current areas tool you have the option to what are the column you would like to see. You have the full options, but using the field chooser you can bring more column to display, or even you can take it out. Whatever the default column, you can take those out. You can do in multiple ways. You can drag and drop. But in here, in the new areas client, you have the option that what I'm showing as in the checkbox. If you click on that, it will pop up that window, small window, where we have all the column name is here. You can basically check or uncheck based on your need, and then you can click OK. With that, it will automatically set all those column name, what are the column you are selecting as a checkbox. So basically the difference is in the old client, you would have like drag and drop the new column based on whatever you want to display or you want to see. Here you will be doing the checking or unchecking to include or exclude the columns you would like to see. So the same functions, but we'll be doing it a little differently. So Christina, can you move into the next slide, please? So in the current plan, you also have one option that you can use the group by function, where you have the group by box or group by the particular field you can group by. In the new plan also, you will have the same function. Basically, you need to click on the top of the column name. Once you click on that, they will have this mini pop-up window will show up, where you can use the first row, which is saying group by this column. So then this is how it will automatically group by the full display for you. Also, the current client has the capability to using all those arithmetic functions like sum, max, mean, average, or count as applicable. The only difference here is in the new client, you will be using it from the header of the column, but in the old client where you are using those arithmetic functions from the footer of those columns, right? And here you will be using it from the header directly. So same function, work will look like exactly the same, but you will be initializing those functions from the header of the column. So Christina, can you please move into the next one? So this is actually another very important slide, and our external, our training department will cover it more thoroughly. And but here I will give you kind of as a sneak peek what you can see. If you remember, current Delphi client has the option to set your custom view. You can create multiple tabs as you want. Then you can save it, and you can also export that your custom settings. You can also use your custom filter. All of these things you can set. Then all of these things will be saved in your local areas installation directory. But here you will be doing the similar thing if you would like to customize your display or if you would like to share this display. So first, this slide, what I'm covering, how you will be creating your custom tab. By default, you will see that there's a 13 additional tab on top of the two default tab, which is the real-time and hourly fee dispatch tab. You will also see 13 additional tab, which will be initially shown as an empty. Like there is nothing. So if you want to use any of this custom tab, you can rename all of this. You can use as much as you want from there. So to do that, the first step would be user need to select on the particular tab. Once you are there, you can right-click. Or upon right-click, system will give you the option to rename it. Once you click on the rename, what I'm showing you the number 2, then this small rename tab or pop-up will show. Here you can put the name of the tab what you want. Once you put the name, click on the rename button, then system will save it automatically. After saving, the way it will look like what I'm showing is in the other box with the number 3. So basically it will just rename it as an ABC, the way where you have renamed the tab. So this is how you can rename all 13 tabs differently, and then on the 13 tab, for different tab, if you would like to see the different set of data set, you can use a different filtering condition. Once you do customize all of it, the system will automatically save your profile that way. Also, if you want to save all the setting as a template, then you will also have that option to save it as a template. So Christian, can you please go to the next slide? So in the next slide, this is what I'm saying, that if you would like to save that profile as a template, what you customize already. So to do that, the option would be from your landing page is the configuration tab. If you click on the configuration tab, system will pop up that another configuration window. In this window, basically, you have the option to do multiple things. But now, in this slide, I will be covering how can you create your custom settings as a private template, or if you would like to also make it as a shareable. So to do that, from this configure that pop-up, first you need to click on the save current display as a template. Once you do that, system will pop up that mini window. What I'm showing is number 3 and 4. There, basically, you can provide the profile name and the description. Also, you have the option to make it as a kind of only private for yourself, or if you would like to share this profile among your organization, within the organization. So if you click shareable equal to yes, then this profile also will be automatically shareable within your organization. And if you don't want to share with anybody, you can make this one as a no. And then if you click on submit, the system will automatically set all those the customer setting as a profile template. In the next slide, I will be covering, in the next slide, once you save it, you can, if you would like to use the template, if you want to load this template, these multiple options are here. And if you also want to delete your profile, you can delete it. If you create it, then you can delete this profile as well. So here, if you would like to use a new profile from somebody else created from your organization, and they made it shareable for you. If you would like to load that profile for yourself, so that all the customization what the other customization has already done, it will be automatically imported to your settings. So what in the current client you would have done it manually, or your IT department would have done it manually, they needed to go back to the view settings file and export it and put it into the different client. But here it is very transparent for the user. User himself can do it from the new client automatically. So to do that, the process is very simple. Then user just need to click on the configuration tab one more time, and if you click on the configuration, it will again pop up the configuration window. Here, basically, instead of saving it, you will be just finding that profile you would like to load. Then just simply click on the load button, what I'm showing as a number 2. Once you click on the load button, system will ask for your confirmation. Once you do that, then system will automatically load the new profile for your user session as well. And to view all this information, you will also need to click on the refresh button. What I'm showing you is a number 3 on the left upper corner. And once you load that profile, I will show you in the next slide as an example how it will look like. So Christina, can you please go to the next slide? So this is a template. This is an example. Here I renamed all 13 tabs, and I had individual filters set up, like some for ETS services, some for FMN, some for I created for Edge, which are in the AGC, wherever we have some differences between the current duty versus all duty. All of the information I did set up for as a private profile, and this is what, once I load, this is how it will look like. You can see with the box I identified, all the 13 tab is renamed. So Christina, can you please go to the next slide? So as I mentioned earlier, that configuration tab is the most usable one, right, if you would like to do the customize. So again, you can use the same configuration pop-up window if you would like to set your audio or visual alarm. So whatever the things you were able to do in old clients, you will be able to do almost everything here, but everything you can do together. So I will walk you through the steps here at a very high level. So once you come into the configuration tab, after clicking on the configuration, what I'm showing is number 1. So if you look into the bottom on the left bottom corner, there is a bottom, the grid is showing audio alarm configuration. So audio alarm configuration by default will not be editable. If you would like to edit, then there is a pencil icon. If you click on that, the same grid will become now editable. What I'm showing you with in another, like on top of that slide, I just pasted on top of it. If you see that now all those checkboxes are editable. With the number 4, I'm showing it here. You can mute some of this batch if you would like to. If you also want to do the if you want to listen all this audio alarm continuously, you can check or uncheck. Similarly, if you also want to see the visual alarm, like basically pop up or not, you can check or uncheck from there too. The one important thing here is that system will not allow you to do your custom web file or sound file. The sound file, all those files will be kind of preloaded. Whatever will be loading, you can use one of these from there. And always, whatever the profile you are saving, it will automatically save to your in your user session. But if you would like to use these settings also as part of your template, then you would require to go back and save this latest update also with another template. And similarly, you can always share the template for the other user within your organization. And always, you can also use other option if you want to, like after doing all those customization, if something goes wrong, if you would like to go to the default setup, you have the option to reset as well. What I'm showing you in the number 6, if you just click on the reset button, system will automatically put everything on the default setups. So Christina, can you please go to the next slide? So this is also another very important slide where we are covering for the query tool. So to view the query tool, in current tool, you would have click on the query tool option from your file menu. But here you will be clicking everything from the right corner where you clicked earlier, system message or the configuration. There will be another button for query tool. What I'm showing you, if you click on that the blue arrow, what I'm showing on the query tool, it will pop up another window, like the query tool window. Similarly, the way it would have open another window in the current tool. Once the new query tool window open, you can provide the same information what you do currently in a current areas tool. Also, you'll provide the start date, end date, and for only things you will not be able to there from here is that which batch type you want to select. You'll be only providing the resource information, and then once you click on submit request, it will go and fetch the data set as the part of your filter setup. And automatically it will bring, if that resource has information for trajectory, for all the instructions, as well as for the MSSLF instruction, it will put all these three in the 3 different tabs. What I'm showing you in the bottom grid as like 5, 6, and 7. So one thing here is important to note that current query tool had that capability that you could export all those data set in XML format as well as CSV format, and data was available for 39 months. But in the current tool, we are limiting this data to 30 days, as well as you can only export this data to Excel. So XML report is not available. With that, can you please go to the next slide, Christina? So this slide is for responding to the HASP instruction. So this is exactly same. There is no change. You will be doing similarly what you are doing the way you are responding to a HASP instruction in the current query tool. This will also allow you to do it the similar way. There is no difference. Christina, can you please go to the next slide now? Okay. So once you logged into the ADS client, and if you have as some of our participants has multiple resources, and if you'd like to navigate to the different multiple records, because by default, it will give you the first 15 record in there. though it will load the almost the 500 record in the first fetch, but you will be only able to see the first 15 records, because at the same time you can more than 15 records as a default setup. But using this navigation and using this different capability, you can increase it to view the 30 record at a time. And to do that, I'm showing you, indicating multiple things. So first, if you look at the navigation toolbar, the default WebSDK toolbar, what I'm showing is number 1, the checkbox. You can use this toolbar to view the data set, any 15 record from anywhere, like from the beginning, from the next page, or from the very end, or you can go to the particular number you can put in the, and then if you can go, then it will fetch those information. You can also use the other navigation system. Here is the scroll bar. What I'm showing is number 2 on the right side of the screen. If you see, you can kind of drag that scroll bar, or you can also click on the upward or downward. Then this is how system will go and fetch the new record as you click. The other option what I mentioned, if you want to see more than 15 records, then there will be another horizontal bar. What also current tool has the similarity, it will also have the same similar functionality. You can click on the toolbar, you can move it upward or downward. Then based on that, system will automatically fit those record for you. However, that on the bottom grid, right, the trajectory grid as well as the instruction grid, as you know, you will be only these two grid only displays the information from the resource what you are selecting on the top grid. So, but still you have the option here if you would like to make the trajectory plot a little bigger or the instruction grid bigger or smaller. You can use that another vertical bar will be there. What I'm showing as number 4. You can use that vertical bar to move left or right to make the respected window bigger or smaller. So there is one thing to note: if you are using the scroll bar, then when system go and fetch the new record, Christina, can you please go to the next slide? So when you are using that scroll bar, and when system fetch the new data set, system will show you this spinning wheel. Then when it is fetching the new data set, other than that, everything will be everything is same the way you will be navigating into the current tool as well. With that, can we please go to the next slide, Christina? So this is another important slide where, please note that it will be changed a little bit the way we are displaying in the current trajectory. Here also the graph will look like exactly the same. If you note that DOP and DOT point will look like a little differently. In current tool you have the triangle mark, and here you will be using the different mark. But it will clearly identify what is the DOT and what is the DOP. DOP is for the whole duration. One other thing here is that how we are displaying this value, the DOT and the DOP. Current tool had the option you can check or uncheck, like if you want to see one of them or both of them. However, here you can, by default, it will display for everything, but you would not see it in the screen until you mouse over. As an example, I'm showing here 7.3. If you just take your mouse into the pound point, then it will show you that what is the DOT value, DOT or the DOP value respectively. So that is the only thing. The other is like you also know that current tool will give you the option to copy this full graph to a clipboard, and you can paste it anywhere. But new tool will not have this option. You can always use any advanced snapping tool, or you can always take the screenshot as well. So other than that, it will also be the same. Yeah. So with that, whatever I wanted to cover for you as a very high level is done. With that, I will transfer this to the Prince. Prince, if you can walk through the DST transition one.
Sure. Thank you for those. So before we open up for thoughts and questions about the demo, I want to just covered this part that when we're moving away from Delphi into our web-based client, it gave us the opportunity to be able to handle some of the ADS, DST issues that we've been encountering with our current Delphi tool. So we took that opportunity to address the two known ADS, DST concerns that we've had with our current ADS tool in Delphi. The query tool has an issue when it comes to the time shift after the DST for the short day, as well as for EIM entities currently have had an issue with hour ending 20 on the day before the DST transition when they tried to ping ADS using the APIs. So both of those issues have been addressed, and we are going through our own testing process right now to confirm that the DST transition will continue to work, will work for sure in the new ADS. With that, I'd like to open it up for questions and thoughts about the demo itself. Primarily, I'd like to keep this conversation around can you explain a little bit more about specific function on a specific slide and what the changes are and so on. After we do that, then we'll have John Williams talk a little bit about the schedule for when the tool itself will be available for you, what kind of training we'll be offering, the schedule for that, and so on. So with that, operator, if you could open us up for questions regarding the demo, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and again, if you have a question, you can raise your hand by pressing #2. So Shreyas, please let me know if anybody enters the queue.
So yeah, we do have a question right now. Moving on to the first caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yes, this is Justin Wolf from Pacificorp. I have a couple questions. I'll keep it short. We were discussing templates, so basically configuration settings. If a template is created and then modified in some way, let's just say we added a resource or changed one of the templates, do the users using that template need to reload, or is that synchronized? And the other question that I had is you kind of glanced over the export for the query tool. Is what Tyson is saying, is that not going to be available to export the data, or is this just temporary? Because I know a lot of users may require that export of the query tool.
Okay, Prince, I can take those two questions. Thank you for your questions. So for the profile, the template is actually point in time. So once the template is created, and if anybody load that profile or the template, so the system will only display up to that portion. If anything is changed after the template was created, on the whoever is created, then those will not be automatically transferred to the profile. It's only automatically, it will save only to the user sessions. It will not be applicable to the template. So yes, if anything is changed, then user need to reload the template. Basically, first user need to save this template again, then whoever is using this template, they need to reload that template. And on the second question, for the query tool. So query tool export will be available. We're not saying query tool export will not be available, but current query tool export has the two options. You can export the dataset in the CSV format as well as in the XML format. So what we are saying here that in the new tool, the XML export will no longer be supported. Only the CSV or Excel export format will be available.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, do we have anybody else in the queue?
Yeah, we do have a few questions.
Okay.
Moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hello, Glenn Solberg at WAPA. I had a question on the column selection. Currently, we're able to edit which ones we want displayed, the priority of display from left to right. I didn't notice that that's an option. Is that Is that possible? Or are you stuck with the order that you selected?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, you can also drag and drop similar way. You can, if you would like to bring it like on the front or if you want to organize, you can organize it. You can drag and drop.
Okay, thank you.
So what you are doing in the current tool. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. You guys are doing a good job.
Moving on to the next caller.
Okay, thank you.
Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
This is Craig Cameron with SMUD. Did you guys have some functionality where you can query multiple resources at a time?
Hey, thanks for the question. Sorry, no, we don't have. So we are kind of simulating what the current functionality is. So current functionality also allow only to one resource at a time when you are querying. The new tool will also give the same options. So that is something in our consideration, maybe in our roadmap we'll discuss later. But right now, the capability only to the one resource at a time.
Okay, thanks.
Moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hey, this is Dimitri from First Solar. My question has actually already been answered by one of the previous people, so I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. How many
Moving on to
do
the
we have?
next? Yeah, we have about 4 more people.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Simpson Chan calling from ATX. Earlier in the presentation, you mentioned the functionalities of ADS, how it's Chrome and Edge. Just wondering, is IE no longer supported as well as Firefox 2?
Okay, this is Purser. Thanks for that question. We're not going to be officially supporting IE and Firefox going forward. So what essentially that means is that all of the functions, features, navigation components, and so on have been confirmed to work accurately in our supported versions. You may encounter certain errors with IE or with Firefox as they are now being considered as deprecated browsers going forward and so on. So there may be some functions and features that may not necessarily work. So as much as possible, we'd like to encourage customers to move towards Chrome or Chromium, Edge with the Chromium base built into it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. Okay, moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Matthew Moody from EDF Renewables. Just had one question. Glad to see that there's a daylight savings time upgrade kind of there. I was also curious, so currently in the ADS tool, the dispatch instructions are real time, but when you go to use the query tool, it will pull a start time that is offset. I was wondering if that would be called out as to what time zone will be displayed there, and if there's an option to display multiple time zones such as UT and specifics like there is in the MRIS portal.
Carlos, do you have insight into that?
Prince, not much. I think if Rick can respond to this question. So basically right now we have the same capability what we are doing in the current tool.
Right. Perhaps what we could do is, Christina, can you get contact information for whoever's asking you questions so that we could do some personal outreach, I guess, after the call?
Sure. What was your name again, sir?
Matthew Moody from EDF.
Great. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll check offline, and then we'll get back in touch with you directly.
Thanks so much.
Moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Dave Hirsch from PowerX. Just wondering if you guys have the ability to provide custom sound files, WAV files in the client, or do we have to use the preloaded canned ones?
Yeah, Prince, I can take this. Thank you for the question. Yes, so we will be doing whatever was preloaded. If you prefer to have anything, any custom file, please contact your client rep, and we will try to accommodate as much as possible. But from the system perspective, yes, all things will be preloaded.
Okay, and then if we do provide you customizations, will those customizations just be provided for us, or would it be available to all clients?
Yeah, if we take it, and if we, after considering if we can include it as part of our preloaded, then it will be available for everybody.
Let me rephrase the question. Is it possible that the customizations would just be localized just to us?
This is for, okay, so let me clarify one more time. So you are only asking about the sound file, right? That web file, or are you talking about the full template?
Just the sound files.
So when you contact with the client rep, you can, if you can please provide all those details, we can see if it is possible. But as of now, my understanding, you would be whatever we'll be doing, it will be available for everybody.
Okay, thank you for that.
Moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello. This is Camila with EDF Renewables. I wanted to see or confirm, are there any expected effects to existing CAISO certifications, scheduler endorsements, or the dispatch to the part controllers or ATCs?
So, hey, this is Prince here. So our understanding is that you should be able to transition straight into the new ADS using your existing certificates. However, if you have RACL functionality, which is the resource level configuration, that you would like to provide access to certain other entities on your behalf or so on, that has to be explicitly provisioned using our AIM tool, our Access and Identity Management tool. And that ability to start provisioning the RACL functionality, I believe, is coming very shortly into our AIM tool in production if it's not there already. But your existing certs should be able to leverage the new ADS tool. And Ferdows, did you want to add something on that?
No, Prince, yeah, you are absolutely right. So it should work, the existing certificate, other than those the RACL certificate, and yes, those will be also communicated shortly from our customer representative will be communicating them shortly.
Okay, so I understand there shouldn't be any interruptions to the existing configurations, and that was my question. Thank you.
Again, to clarify, as long as we're not talking about the RACL, because RACL will have to be explicitly provisioned using AIM tool. But if you're not talking about the RACL itself, your general access should be seamless.
Yeah, this is just general access, but the dispatch, well, the visibility to the dispatch that we receive, it's based off of endorsement from the schedulers.
Okay, what I would like to recommend to just make sure that you don't encounter an issue would be that when we deploy this into map stage, let's just make sure that your existing certs work, and it's going to go through that process well in advance, because we understand the importance and criticality of ADS, and we don't want to have any interruption by any means.
Yeah, understood. I already have a ticket, and I think that as things progress, we'll just we'll keep checking in.
Thank you.
Shreyas, do we have any other callers in the queue?
Yeah, we do have. Moving on to the next caller. Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Katie Fambrini calling from Shell Energy. I have two questions. My first question is, I know that you had mentioned this presentation, the slideshow will be posted. Is there any chance the video will be posted as well?
Yes. Yeah, we are. We did record the meeting today, so once we've received that from AT&T, we'll try to get it expedited, but once we receive it, we're going to post it with the other materials. So you can either access those by going through the calendar, or we have them on the miscellaneous stakeholder meetings webpage. So yeah, it'll as soon as we get it from AT&T, we will post it.
Fantastic, thank you. And my second question is, the configuration part seems very helpful. We have experienced issues with other software such as WebOMS where the configurations don't save, or they may save for, say, a week or a short amount of time, but then they reset themselves. Is that something you're taking into account with these configurations?
Yeah, thank you for the call. Yeah, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Ferdas. I'll wrap up after you do.
Okay. So what we're expecting that you should not encounter any of these issues. Once your profile is saved, it should save. It should work for as long as if you don't delete or if you do not reset that profile. It should work the way you set it up.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
And Katie, Prince here. I'd appreciate if you could submit a CD case with the issue that you're encountering in the WebOMS, because that is not an intended experience by any means. So if you are facing an issue where the configuration is disappearing, we'd like to see that with specifics so we can look into that and address that issue.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to the next caller. Yeah.
Okay.
Caller, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Sang Park with Southern California Edison, and I have a few questions. Number one is, will we be able to use the same ID on multiple devices to log in?
Yes, you should, because as long as you have a certificate and install in multiple session, you should be able to use it. But for the same time, if you use the same certificate and same user in multiple devices, then you may see some inconsistency based on the action or taken in the different tool, right? So that might be also you want to take into consideration. But you should be able to use the same certificate if you are using in different time horizon, like in the different device. So it should work seamlessly.
My second question then, and related to that, is that if we have multiple users' IDs in different locations, would that work with the same ID, user ID?
Let me rephrase the question, what I understood is. So all the different user will also have the different certificate, but if the user has the same certificate, it's basically the same user you are referring, right? Or are we referring the multiple user, or multiple user with multiple certificate, or multiple user with the single certificate?
Multiple users with a single certificate.
So basically then this case is not possible, right? Well, if the certificate will be assigned to the one user at a time. So a same certificate will not be assigned to the multiple users. So basically wherever the certificate are importing, if you import the certificate into the one device versus like 5 different devices, then you should be able to use the certificate of the same user from 5 different locations or 5 different devices. What I was trying to clear it out here, if those 5 users are using the information in the same time, and all of them are making different instructions, then you will see the inconsistency. Basically, that will not be a good use case to use the same certificate in the multiple location. we expect the same user or same certificate should always be using in one location to see the right data set.
Okay, and following up with that, does the ADS software, will it time out after a certain period of time? You know, some softwares you can just leave up, you know, day after day after day after day, and it will just keep continuously run. Will that be also the case, or does it time out after like 12 hours or 24 hours or anything like that?
There actually we have the multiple options. So currently, the one we are approaching and we are thinking to stabilize that. As long as your browser session is active, system will not kill that browser session. But if the browser session is inactive, basically if you close the browser, then system will not take this keep this session alive. But you also have the option to keep the browser open, but that. Sorry, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a dedicated machine that only runs ADS. It doesn't run anything else, and we just leave it up. So in order to get the dispatch instructions. And so we leave it up, and we just expect it to just continuously run all the time. So if we're not touching it, we're not moving the mouse, we're not doing anything, you know, sometimes some softwares, when it times out, it doesn't look like it closes. It just freezes, right? And some softwares will, you know, time out, but it looks like it's still running. So I guess what I'm asking is, you know, if we don't touch if it's on a standalone device and we're not touching it and it's running constantly, and there's no way to, you know, we haven't maximized, it will not end the session. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes, that's correct. As long as the browser session is active, then it should not disconnect automatically.
Okay. My next question is in regards to the ADS query feature. Is that something that you guys are prepared to answer?
I think we are almost about ending our slot. But Prince, do you want? Oh, okay. Will you be able to continue more, or Christina?
You know, we do need to wrap it up soon. But what we can do is, if you have follow-up questions, because we want to go over the schedule. John still needs to go over the schedule. And if there are any follow-up questions, you can submit them through Citi. But we're also going to be offering training, which John is going to talk about. So this will be the last question, then we'll have to move on.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, please. What is the question?
So currently, the ADS query feature allows us to go back for any number of dates, up to about 90 days for any data set. Will that be still the case with the new ADS query? How many days could we pull at once?
Okay, so current tool is actually allow you to go back till 39 months, and at that time you could pull 90 days worth of data. However, in the new tool, it will allow you to go to the 30 days data only, so you can pull the data for the last 30 days. We encourage all of our users, because ADS is our real-time tool. We expect the ADS tool to be used only for the real-time purpose, and we no longer will be supporting to go back beyond 30 days.
So you're going to go from 39 months the way it is currently, and you're going to go down to 30 days. Is that right?
Yes, this is the plan. Prince, do you want to add anything on that?
I think you're accurate there. The goal is to move down to 30 days and then have any additional data query go through our other interfaces, such as the CMRI or market results interface, so that we start using ADS purely as a real-time dispatch kind of a tool with a limited opportunity to go back and look for a select number of days.
So you're going to create a CMRI report, which we will then be able to use that application to be able to pull dates beyond the 30 days. Is that what you're saying?
Our CMRI tool currently allows you to pull data for, sometimes as early as like for next day for D+1, all the way back until it's the data retention policy, so for at least about 39 months.
So ADS, because I've actually never used a CMRI application to pull ADS DOT historical data. I've always used the ADS query application directly. So you're saying that if I go onto CMRI right now and request ADS DOTs for a particular unit, I would be able to pull that?
It's going to go line in line along with this production activation. So we want that to be kind of like condition.
So right now it's not available on CMRI.
Firdaus, can you confirm if it's there currently?
Yes, so there are certain parts, right? The query tool data will give you the DOT instruction as well as the ASA word and RTA and all those data sets, right? So you will be seeing whatever they available right now in the CMRI, and I can. We don't have the CMRI expert here. We can take this to the CMRI expert and get back to you.
Let's do one thing.
Okay.
Make sure. What we'll do is we'll make sure that we provide a lot more clarity on that querying part when we get to our training as well.
I mean, the big concern is this, is that, you know, the ADS application is allowed to go back as far as 39 months currently, and I would imagine that many users that did use that ADS query feature was using queries beyond the 30 days. I mean, it's going to become a tool that, you know, that's going to become obsolete, I guess, is what I'm getting at, and we just would solely rely on the CMRI application then, if that's the case. I mean, if you did, you would probably know how many queries are being done on ADS and see what kind of timeline that's being requested. I would imagine most queries that are being done are, you know, a good portion of it is beyond 30 days.
And that's part of the reasoning why we are trying to break this into two separate sorts of functions. A reporting function, which is what CMRI and such tools are built for, and more of a real-time function, which is what ADS is built for, so that we, you know, are able to differentiate between a reliability tool versus the reporting tool.
Right. So there will be a CMRI report that goes back beyond approximately 39 months with these ADS dispatch instructions that we will be able to query.
Like I said, we will provide further clarification on the specifics of the data and the report and so on when we get to the training.
Okay, so you don't know yet.
Yeah, so basically the
CMRI. Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, yes, Prince. So all of this data set should already be available in the CMRI. Maybe you will need to look into that differently. So as a dispatch instruction, the DOT, the ADS will not, CMRI will not show you the DOT, but it will give you the RTD resource award, which is the binding. So the resource award in the CMRI for the 5 minutes, that should exactly be the same thing, what you would have seen in the ADS as a 5-minute DOT data set. So that should already be, our understanding is whatever the information we are showing in the ADS, those should already be available in the CMRI.
Okay, I'll take a look and see if what you're saying is true.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, we'll make sure we provide detailed clarifications on that when we get to the training.
Thank you. Okay. We need to move on because we are past the time limit, and I don't want the WebEx to expire. So, John, why don't you go ahead and we'll go through the schedule.
Okay, thank you very much, Firdaus and Prince. Very good, good work. I like that. For those of you that attend our biweekly RUD meetings, this slide is very familiar to you. For those that do not, this basically is a chart, a slide of our milestones. And as you can see, if you look down the milestone types, you can see the name of the milestone along with dates and what has been completed. And just to very quickly go over the schedule, basically we are here at the ADS demonstration, the WebEx demonstration, which is today, and we're doing that today. And just very quickly, we're going to just be publishing our technical specifications on May 29th. And the next item is a preview. So all the information basically that you saw today, we're going to give you the ability to do a hands-on. You could be able to log into the system, do all the nice things that you saw today, and that preview is going to take place on June 22nd. The BPMs are going to be posted on July 20th, as well as the external training. So we talked about training. So in order for us to provide access to the preview of the application, you will be doing we're going to be doing some training on ACL, ADS ACL training. And that's going to be June 1st. And there'll be more information on that probably next week. And then we'll be doing external training, part 1. Now, on the very first slide, Prince talked about some features, basically, that we were not talking about today. That's basically what we're going to be training on for the first part, and that's going to be June 11th. On the second training, which is July 16th, is basically going to be everything. It's going to be the replacement, which is what we're calling replacement, is what you saw today, along with the other pieces, which we're calling enhancements. Then, of course, both of those items will be going into MarketSim on the July 27th through September 4th, and then we will be doing our replacement on October 1st. For the parallel operations, most likely that's going to be identified as July 27th as well. We're just confirming that. And then we're going to be discussing the decommissioning of the current ADS on a later date. We want to make sure that everything is perfect and before we pull that out, and then have you work on the new ADS. And that is really it. Are there any questions?
There is a question on the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, and then, so is there, can you send the chat messages to Shreyas? I know there's been a couple questions in the chat. Is there, are you able
Yeah,
to
I can send you the, yes, I can email you the chat questions.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I can send those to the team to respond to.
Okay, sure.
So, yeah, so we, Prince, okay to take one more question? I know we're running overtime.
Sure. If it's related to the schedule, let's take it. If it's related to any of the functionality of the demo, let's go through the CD process or wait for the training.
Okay. So go ahead, Chris,
Okay.
and then.
Yeah, sure. Caller, please go ahead. Your line is unmuted.
Hi, Prince. This is Chen Yu from PG&E. Sorry, we all had an all-hands meeting, so we dialed in late. I did hear that the report functionality, the retention from 39 months to 30 days. So are you seeking customers' feedback on that? Because when you mentioned that you're going to explain everything in training, which is going to come in July, is that a little late for our feedback?
Hey, Chinyu, thank you for asking that. Thank you for asking that, Chinyu. Prince here. The fact that we're moving from 39 months to 30 days is in line with the externally posted BRS. So I'm guessing what you're asking is feedback about where in CMRI to get this data. Is that what you're pointing towards?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure that our operation team is good with that, and also whether we. I don't know what the last caller's name, but I can also understand the frustration. It's a really good retention before, and going into the future is 30 days. And also you're aware that after, I think, settlement timeline goes live, the retention from 39 months becomes 24 months. So I just think that maybe I'm just not sure if at this point CAISO is looking for market participants' feedback on some of the new features or new functions in order to, revisit those decisions.
So like I said, the fact that we are moving towards 30 days is in line with the externally posted BRS. So that's the plan as of now. However, if you continue to have a concern with that, I would recommend that you submit a CD case so that we can use that for further engagement and interact with you to see what the challenge that you would be facing in that mode would be and see what options would be best.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Sorry that it went over. So as I did request that we get the questions that were received via chat from the operator. She's going to send those to me, and I'll forward those on to the team for response. Also, if you have questions, you're also welcome to use Citi. And then, as John mentioned, we will be providing training on the tool. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Greatly appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for your help, Shreya.
Sure. That concludes our conference. Thank you for using AT&T Event Services. You may now disconnect.